Hi, I'm Julie, and for our project, we decided to research the health benefits of being outdoors. So let's get into it. First, a brief look at the theory. I wanted to begin with a bit of history, specifically about John Muir. He was a very important environmental figure in the 1800s. He really saw the potential in nature to help replenish people. And so he sparked this kind of environmental movement in the 1800s, which led to the formation of the Yosemite National Park, as well as just the idea of a park system. And he also founded the Sierra Club. So he played a huge role in why we even have parks to go to today. And he really saw the magical power of nature to really de-stress and help replenish us. So now for some findings. In general, its research shows that nature makes you less stressed. And as a result, it shows benefits on a number of physiological indicators, lower levels of cortisol, greater presence of anti-cancer proteins, a better immune functioning. These are all signs that it's a less stressed body. We've seen throughout this quarter the consequences of toxic stress. And so it seems that nature helps fight against that. On the more cognitive, emotional side, people suffering from depression ruminate less and have more positive emotions after being in nature. I think that anybody who's gone on a hike knows how being in nature can just make you a little bit more positive. Furthermore, nature can enhance problem solving, concentration, and social cohesion. So there's a lot of benefits to being in nature. Now, why might that be? So here are some theories as to why researchers believe nature has so much benefits. The first is the psychoevolutionary theory. So this is the theory that essentially our brains and our bodies were built to be in nature. We have this ancestral connection to natural landscape, so just being in this landscape is good for a body before we've even analyzed it with cognitive processes. The other theory is the attention restoration theory. And this one is essentially that on our day-to-day, we use a lot of directed attention. And this directed attention requires a lot of energy and effort and can really exhaust us. Being in nature helps replenish this energy because it engages your attention effortlessly. You know, when you're roaming around nature, you're not really focusing on any one thing very closely. You're just kind of roaming. And so in that way, it replenishes us. There's more theories, but due to lack of time, we'll keep it to those two. Now, before we hop into research articles, I wanted to include some issues that we need to consider because, unfortunately, access to national parks is not as equitable as it could be. The statistic is that African Americans comprise 1 to 1.2% of visitors to national land, whereas Hispanic and Latino individuals 3.8 to 6.7%. So both pretty low percentages. Now, why might this be? The first is affordability and time constraints. If you're an hourly worker, then it's more difficult to find these long periods of time where you and your family can go on a road trip to parks. The other is that most state parks you have to pay like about $10 to enter. If you're making minimum wage, this is not a negligible amount. The other is lack of diversity in national parks, and by that I mean that majority of rangers are white, but also that a lot of the displays that they have in ranger centers and things are geared towards like a white American history. There's generally not that much about Native American history, or in general, it's just not that welcoming to other cultures. Finally, historical trauma. Lynchings that took place in the Jim Crow era took place in forests. And so when some African American individuals see a forest, they don't just think relaxation, they also have this reminder of this tragedy that took place. So some issues that need to be addressed. Hello. So for my 1 minute activity, I wanted to share with you guys the practice of Shinrin Yoku, or forest bathing. It's a Japanese meditative technique where essentially all you need to do is find a little spot of nature, and that can be at a park, it can be in your backyard, your garden. Here I'm at a local community college in the Bay Area, West Valley, if you know where that's at. And all you're gonna do is just get in touch with nature through your five senses, really smell nature, touch a branch, and wander around. You're not going anywhere. The purpose isn't to reach a peak, but rather to just wander and experience it.
Hi guys, my name is Lauren and I'm going to be presenting about the health benefits of gardening. So, in the article called Home Gardening and the Health and Well-Being of Adolescents, found in the Health Promotion Practice Journal, they did a study on students in New Zealand. So what they did was they gave a survey to about 8,500 randomly selected students, and they had to complete a survey asking questions about their physical health, their nutrition, time spent gardening, if they did have a garden, their weight, family interactions, and fast food consumption. So about a half to 2/3 of the students had a garden, and the remaining 1/3 didn't have a garden. So the researchers compared the group with a garden versus the group without a garden, and they found that gardening was positively associated with healthy dietary habits among students, such as greater fruit and vegetable consumption, and gardening was also positively associated with physical activity and improved mental health and well-being. And the students who participated in gardening reported slightly lower levels of depressive symptoms and enhanced emotional well-being and experienced higher family connection than students who didn't participate in gardening. So families would garden together. It would help with exercise. It would help with mental health and well-being. And the students that grew fruits and vegetables at home ate more fruits and vegetables compared to students who didn't have a garden at home. And they had a lower fast food consumption as well. And the conclusions from this study show that gardening has a positive correlation with health and nutrition behaviors, and it may contribute to adolescents' health and well-being. And as a result, health promoters and families should be encouraged to include gardening for adolescents. So I decided to talk about gardening because my mom and I actually have been gardening so far in quarantine. It's something that we've always wanted to do together, but we haven't because I've been in college, but now I'm home, so I have a video from my garden at home. Hello everyone, for my demonstration I am going to show you guys the garden that my mom and I have planted together. It's been really fun to do during quarantine, and let me show you what we have. So these are all roses, and my mom has cut off a lot of them, but they're really pretty so far, and I'm excited to see all of them bloom. And these are all of my mom's tomato plants, except for, let me get back here, except for this. This is a cucumber, so I'm just gonna water it right now. It's really fun to do with my mom, and it's even more fun to eat everything that we have planted so far. The tomatoes aren't ready, but I'm really excited to eat those tomatoes. And this is our zucchini plant, and Right here we have a green bean plant, and those green beans were the best green beans I've ever had in my entire life. So yeah, so this is my garden, and as in our presentation, there are so many benefits to gardening, and I highly recommend. Yeah, and that's my garden. And one thing that I forgot to show in the video was that we actually have a herb garden as well, but it's on the other side of my backyard, so it would have taken a little bit for me to walk over there. But we have two basil plants. We had to add a new one because we ate it all so fast. And we have rosemary, and I think we have thyme as well. But that has been a really cool addition to our garden. So thank you guys.
Hi everyone, my name is Katherine Hyland, and I'm presenting the second research article on the health benefits of hiking. So I found this article on Sage, and it's from the American Journal of Lifestyle Medicine. And the title is Hiking, a Low-Cost, Accessible Intervention to Promote Health Benefits. So a little bit of background, this article analyzes the relationship between hiking and physical and emotional well-being. This article also utilizes several studies to describe the multitude of benefits that hiking can offer, and is ultimately used to inform healthcare practitioners about the benefits of hiking. There were several studies looked at in this article, but I found the most interesting one was conducted by Dr. Jalalian. There were 76 adolescents who were randomly selected and randomly put into two groups. The first group was the outdoor wilderness group, and the second one was the indoor exercise group. The study looked at these groups for 16 weeks, and after the end of the 16 weeks, they found that the older adolescents of the outdoor wilderness group were had 4 times the amount of weight loss compared to the indoor group. Other studies found that hiking positively affects physical health as well as emotional health. Hiking can be beneficial by simultaneously utilizing physical activity and also utilizing the benefits of being surrounded by nature. Unlike most forms of exercise, hikers tend to burn more calories than runners and walkers, and this is due to the extended periods of times that hiking is usually permitted, and this is also due to sightseeing and experiencing nature as well. Hiking also reduces stress, depression, anxiety, feelings of helplessness, and in some cases suicidal ideation. Those who are more connected to nature find themselves with greater trait mindfulness and greater psychological well-being. So, based on this article, my conclusions from this were that hiking positively affects physical health as well as emotional health, and that health practitioners should start recommending hiking to patients as a more economical and natural alternative to gyms or indoor recreational facilities. However, I made a disclosure, so hiking's not meant for everyone, and there are limitations involved with hiking. For example, access to safe hiking trails or transportation to these trails might not be readily available for everyone. There's also health factors and disabilities that could pose a risk, but there are hiking trails that accommodate a wide range of people in terms of terrain difficulty. And at the end, I put always research the trails and levels of difficulty before heading out. So here's a video of me hiking with my dog.
Hey guys, it's Catherine. My women activities either hiking or walking. Currently I'm hiking on a trail behind my church. Basically my activity is just to get outdoors and get moving. If you don't have any hiking trails near you, even walking around the neighborhood helps you out. And yeah, I'm just going. You can see my dog here too. She's loving it.
Hi, my name is Vanessa Rodriguez, and I'm a fourth-year interdisciplinary studies major. So today I'm presenting on the health benefits of outdoor blue spaces. Outdoor blue spaces are visible spaces of water like lakes, rivers, streams, ponds, and oceans. Many have probably heard of the term green space, which is an area of grass, trees, or other vegetation set apart for recreational aesthetic purposes. So I just specifically decided to discuss blue spaces because the beach is probably one of my favorite places, and because we live in an area so close to multiple blue spaces. So the article I decided to look at was Outdoor Blue Spaces, Human Health and the Well-Being of a Systematic Review of Quantitative Studies. So this review analyzed 35 studies that investigated the potential benefits of outdoor blue spaces on health. The objective of the study was to review current quantitative evidence on human health and well-being benefits of outdoor blue spaces. From the wide range of studies, the review analysis looked into different forms of health being affected, like general health, physical health, mental health, and obesity or cardiovascular health. From the studies reviewed, the evidence suggested there was a positive association between greater exposure to outdoor blue space and both benefits to mental health and well-being and benefits to levels of physical health. Although this review is one of the first to look into the health benefits of outdoor blue space exposure, this analysis shows there is a positive relationship between blue space exposure and mental health and the promotion of physical activity. Some disclaimers, though, the review was not able to show direct causation because of the limitations of the studies that were reviewed. Although this review found that there was a strong association between mental health and the promotion of physical activity, there was not a strong association between general health, obesity, and cardiovascular health. Another limitation of this review is many studies were not included in the review due to the fact that blue spaces are often clumped or categorized with green space, and this review specifically only looked at blue space. So from reviewing this, and I felt that blue spaces are often overlooked in green space compared to green spaces, and many don't ever think about deciding to go outdoor to their local beaches, lakes, ponds, or any blue space available to them for their mental health and physical activity. And so I thought I would show you guys some of my favorite places near us. So we have Montaña de Oro, Morro Bay, Shell Beach, and Avila Beach. I didn't include Pismo Beach because I just didn't have any pictures, but that's also one of my favorite places. But I think blue space is highly overrated and many don't actually take advantage of it. And I personally feel whenever I go to the beach, my mental health feels so much better. So I suggest to you if you're ever feeling down or anything or want to just get out and enjoy nature, a blue space is a great place to go. Also, keep in mind social distancing at the moment and wear your sunscreen.
Hi guys, my name's Erica Holloway and I'm going to be showing you a research article about the health benefits of sun exposure. But really quick, before I kind of go into that, I wanted to show you, if this will go next, I wanted to show you some of the main benefits of sun exposure. So one of them is cancer prevention and management. It's believed that sunlight triggers vitamin D in our bodies, and this active vitamin D hormone that is released can decrease cell growth and cell proliferation, and this has been seen in a few different types of cancer as listed right there. So skin healing, I know we think a lot of the time sun exposure, skin cancer, melanoma especially, which is very true and we need to think about it, but the right amount of sun exposure can be really good for our skin. It helps bring our immune cells to the surface, and so they can do a lot of repair there. They can help with things like psoriasis, eczema, jaundice, acne. Serotonin is also super important in our bodies. I'm sure we've all heard about it a little bit in some of our classes. So sun is actually believed to be a trigger for serotonin in the body. Serotonin helps regulate sleep, memory, appetite, digestion, so it has a really big part in our overall well-being. And then vitamin D and strong bones. So when the sun triggers vitamin D releasal in our body, it can help us absorb calcium that we need to have strong bones. So now going into my research article, this article is about the relationship between sun exposure, serotonin levels, seasonal variation in mood, behavior, and affective disorders. So like I stated a little bit earlier, sun exposure is believed to be a trigger for the brain's release of serotonin. In order to explore this further, blood samples were taken from the internal jugular veins of 101 healthy Australian men. This was done in order to assess the relationship between concentration of serotonin metabolite levels in the samples along with weather conditions and seasons. So these men were aged between 18 and 79 years old, and they were recruited by local advertisement in the general community and underwent a comprehensive clinical and physical examination to screen for any previously undiagnosed medical conditions before enrollment. All studies were done with participants supine in the morning after an overnight fast, and they were drawn over the course of a year. So what the study really found was that the turnover of serotonin in the brain was lowest during winter. Also, the rate of production of serotonin by the brain was directly related to the prevailing duration of bright sunlight and rose rapidly with increased luminosity. So this really kind of shows us that the amount of sun that our bodies are getting, the more serotonin is kind of being released from our brains, and it can really have a huge impact on our overall well-being. We mentioned seasonal affective disorder, and it's a type of depression that comes and goes with the seasons, typically starting in the late fall and early winter and going away during the spring and summer. Depressive episodes linked to the summer can occur but are much less common than the winter episodes. So this correlates with the levels of metabolite serotonin levels observed in the study, and we know that common symptoms of seasonal affective disorder are change in appetite, insomnia, anxiety, and having low energy levels. So this really kind of helps us to understand how the right amount of sun exposure can translate to so many different aspects of our lives that I think that we don't really think about in the first place. So thank you guys.
So it's a beautiful day outside. I chose to do sun exposure because it's kind of hard to avoid with any outdoor activities. So there's really, anything you can do: volleyball, soccer, cornhole, games with your family, swimming. There's really a limitless list that you can do for outdoor activities, and like hiking and gardening, like my other group mates kind of talked to you guys about. So I think something that people worry about a lot with sun exposure is skin cancer, and it's very important to wear sunscreen and be safe, but also not let that keep you from getting outside and doing outdoor activities, because it is very healthy for you and you should do it. So.
Hey, these are our post-lecture questions. Thanks for watching the video.